Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the October 13th edition of the SBO Weekly Developer Call. We currently have no announcements, I think. Yeah, right, because we talked about the... Do we want to talk about the 1.3, Pavel?
Announcement. Okay.
Well, we have released 1.3 in upstream a
Okay.
week ago. I don't think we have announced that last week.
Perfect, thank you. Right. So let's move on to the discussion topics. So Patrick, did you want to go ahead first with your CRDs? With your topics, CRDs after SBO is uninstalled?
Yeah, so I mentioned it the other day in the Slack channel. Basically wanting to start getting everyone, talking about it, seeing what everyone's thoughts are. Currently, if SBO is uninstalled, it leaves behind the CRDs, which is a problem for the UI side because a lot of the features that's brought from the console is flagged based on whether or not those CRDs are present. So as long as they're still there, even though SBO is not installed anymore, the functionality within the console still works. So like a drag event where you connect an application and a service and create a service binding resource will still show up and still work, but leads to an error.
Okay, this is interesting. So did you check any other operator whether this is mostly handled by the OLM, right? So did you check any other operator whether once it is installed that corresponding CRD is going away?
No, but I will definitely check that next.
Because why I'm asking, I believe OLM does the tracking of CRDs unlike HEM charts. In HEM, they don't. There is no way, as of now, HEM doesn't track CRDs, right? So once you install the HEM chart, the CRDs will still hang around. So, but I think OLM does track CRD. That is my understanding. But we can confirm it by, maybe check some other operators and see how it behaves. And maybe we are missing something, some attribute or something like that.
Is there a problem where we uninstall the operator and there's already a binding going on?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's why the CRDs are left behind. I don't know.
That's also good to check.
Yeah.
So good to... Okay. Patrick, have you had a chance to investigate that, or did you get a chance to see that in your investigations?
No, I did not.
However, it's a little bit misleading, right? So CRDs will be there. Yeah.
I think that's because when you install an operator, it installs CSV, and if you install it with OLM, you install subscription, and that will install CSV plus all the resources. When you uninstall it, the CSV is also left behind, if I'm not mistaken, and those CRDs are owned by that. So I think that's
no, I don't think so. CSVs get removed, right?
no, actually, instructions on OLM how to properly uninstall operator is to delete the subscription and then delete the CSV, like specifically. Otherwise,
So
it
then,
will be there. I think I saw that recently.
so we're
So,
missing that then, right? So definitely something to look at.
Can you create an issue also? Anyway, this is a known issue, so
Is this a problem upstream, or is this a problem with downstream only? If we install with the HEM chart, for example, what will happen? Because the HEM chart release will own the CRD, right? So I think it'll get removed, right? I will check that too. I will check what happened with the Helm chart. I think the Helm
Okay.
chart does it clean. Yeah.
Sounds good. So, I mean, in this particular case, right, it still would be good to understand what exactly should happen with the SBR after the operator is uninstalled. So, to Baiju's point, I think it will still be good to have a GitHub issue to track this, just to kind of understand and have that conversation.
Yeah, but I hope everyone is in agreement that we should remove the CRD, right, after SPO is uninstalled. No.
I think so. It's just the only concern I have is what happens to the existing binding. Would it get unbound or would it continue? I think you want to keep it bound, right?
Oh, okay.
You
You're
don't
thinking
wanna-
about some upgrade scenario, like let's say somebody upgrading from 1.3 to 1.4 or something like that. In that case,
Yeah, maybe someone uninstalled said maybe the upgrade is too far out, right? Maybe they're running a very old version of SBO and they just want to do a clean install.
okay,
What will
and at the
happen?
same time, that existing resources should not be lost, right? I mean, it should still continue.
The existing binding should not
Yeah,
be
binding.
lost. Yeah, well, the resource we probably don't care, but the existing binding should not be lost, right? That was the intent of the initial user.
Right, but if
Now,
you have
now the operator is not gonna continue tracking that, so it's not gonna update the binding, right?
Right.
But that projection should not change.
So, sorry, Pavel, was that what you were talking?
yeah, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then there is no point in whether you know, uninstalling this. And now, what we'll do with the UA issue then that Patrick is talking about?
Well, I mean, this is two different things, right? Like, if whether or not the actual resource should exist versus the binding should exist, should continue to exist.
There's two
No,
different things. Yes.
Right, they're two different things.
Once CRD
Okay.
is gone, binding will go, right? Because CRD is nothing but our in order to service binding resource to exist, that CRD must be there. So
Yeah, but hold on. The binding is there at the beginning. Let's say controller is there, binding is there, right? And CRD is there. The controller will continue to track that binding, right? That's because it checks for the CRs for the binding. Now, the controller is on install. There's no controller to do any action on the CR, right? I would say if the controller is gone, the CRD should be gone, and actually the CRs should be gone. However, the projection on the workloads should not be gone, right?
okay, I think that depends on the timeline also, right? For example, what happens if the CRD is the first getting deleted automatically and the controller is, I mean, that
yeah.
whatever the pod is still running there, it's
Right.
going to take action, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I want to check what's going to happen. I mean,
the order of removal is also important there.
important. Yeah.
Also, when you remove the controller first, before the CRs or other resources might have finalizers that wouldn't be touched if the controller is gone.
It's gone.
And it would prevent deletion.
Mhm.
It's another concern.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
This sounds like an issue we should just, see how other. I think the initial question was great, right? How all the operators are doing it, and then see if they have any best practice for that. But then definitely, it's weird. It's like there's no controller, but the CRDs. That's like if I'm in a command line and I'm checking what are my CRDs. Oh, okay, SBO is installed. No, it's not. So that's a problem.
Okay. So, Patrick, it sounds like you have a bunch of actions to do for this. Are you clear in terms of expectations?
Yes.
So please update this doc with link to the GitHub issue and update the issue with these investigation results as you find them.
But some of these, Patrick might need help
Yep.
because
that's
some
fine.
of these are like internal stuff for SBO that Patrick might not know out of,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So we need to help him with that.
For sure. But this will be a good place to start. So,
Mhm, mhm.
okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, Baiju, let's move on to the next topic. Go ahead.
Yeah. So a few weeks back, we discussed about what are the things that we can do to improve this community, SBA community. Okay. So some of my after thinking about this, some of my thoughts I listed out here, and some of them ideas actually refined after some comments from Jasper also. So one of the thing I noticed in this call is that we have weekly call, and that frequency is one of the thing that could making it other people not to join this community call. The reason is that it is too frequent, right? So, and this project, the size of this project and the maturity of this project, considering all these things, I think we don't really need a weekly call. My suggestion to make it like at least in a bi-weekly call, so that might help with the more attendance, at least from external people. So because having so frequent calls, at least we don't really need is what I'm thinking. So this is the first topic I want to talk. I want to hear other people's thoughts on making it as a bi-weekly call.
Well, it's the same, I think. There's no activity either way. So at least we're on top of any issues that come in. How often the issues come in?
That's also not very frequent, right? I mean, at
exactly.
least
Exactly. So the only
Yeah,
reason to
our
do it
issues are
bi-weekly.
fairly-
Yeah, I was gonna say the only reason to keep it weekly is there's a good amount of issues coming in, and then we want to discuss more often, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is that adoption is low, right, for SBO.
Mhm.
That's a fact, right? What's the best way to improve the community participation? Get people to use it. If people use SBO, they'll come, right? They'll be interested. They see the value. They have it as an underpinning for some other technology, right? And that's what who's been coming outside of us. It was the operators, the issue that we were having, for example, with the label versus the annotation, right? That's an underpinning. They're using SBO. That's why they came, right?
Right.
So, but that's probably the only team that I know that is using SBO right now.
Andy was about to say something.
No, David largely captured my thoughts.
Okay, so I mean, we can change to bi-weekly, or is that considered?
It doesn't make a difference to me. I think that's fine for me if everyone else agrees.
Okay.
Any
Okay,
concerns?
then let's
Okay.
keep it weekly for some more time and see. Maybe we can come back. Okay, let me move on to the next topic. So I was thinking, we have a lot of issues in Jira where we have a lot of details about the issues, and my suggestion was to link to Jira, but because Jira Stories has more background, okay, and I already heard from Jasper also saying that maybe why we do the other way around, maybe make our GitHub issues more elaborate, or where we are keeping more up-to-date details, and Jira becomes just a so either way, I think we can there is no problem for linking each other, is my thought, because Jira is, even though I don't know how searchable that Jira, but at least that's Jira is public, right? If you somebody open that any of this our Jira issues link without login, they can see our discussions unless you mark that comment or issue as a private Red Hat only. So if you don't check that one, that all issue discussion everything is public. So is there any concern for linking between Jira stories and GitHub issues? So this way, my thought is that people will get more context about some of the issues and stories. Also, I'm fine with the other making this reversal. I mean, maybe we can make our stories or everything more detailed in GitHub, and then Jira becomes just a link to this GitHub. That way.
That is Jira public?
I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
it is.
It is.
So then we do.
I
Right,
know.
right.
I know some other Red Hat projects. They basically explicitly link to Jira, or their own Jira boards for their GitHub issues.
Right.
I think some of them still use GitHub as like a discussion forum because, when you put a barrier in people's way of filing issues and discussing issues, i.e., requiring them to go make an account on our Jira to actually discuss issues, I think you're going to lose a lot of people that way. So I'm not sure how far down we want to go towards redirecting people to Jira, but I think we should have some kind of cross connection between the two.
The fact of the matter is that we use Jira quite a bit, right?
Yes.
And that's where we keep our board. That's basically our guidance for working.
Yes.
So I wouldn't
It's-
mind. I wouldn't mind
it's-
some
it's where-
integration.
Yeah. I saw some. No, that's not relevant.
Actually, that actually makes another thing. Also, we need to be careful that whenever we are doing internal release or any of the such kind of stories, we need to mark it as private. I mean, Red Hat only.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, it becomes visible, which is not really necessary.
That's a good point.
Especially any timeline commitments or anything that cannot be public.
Any and every comment, right? Any and every release,
Yeah,
any and every
such kind of things.
topics.
I
So-
think
Okay, can we make a whole Jira private? A whole item?
I think things, in my opinion, the default action should be public because this is an open source project. Public is kind of how things should be working. However, there are some things that definitely need to be kept private. Like if we're talking about, say, the 1.3 release and we're talking about CVEs, we should not be talking about that in public.
Mhm. So going back to the point before, right? We need to make sure that any of those stories or comments that refers to it should be hidden or at least private, right? In Jira.
hmm
So
I think my general rule of thumb I've been operating by is if it's discussing a CVE, that needs to be kept private. If it's just discussing internal materials or internal strategy, that also needs to be kept private.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I'm missing anything with that kind of guideline, though.
Well, aren't Red Hat projects open source themselves? I mean, the
The
fact that we
project-
do
Yeah.
upstream
You
and
need to
downstream.
David and everybody, you need to distinguish what is open source project and what is Red Hat product.
Yes.
Jira is supposed to be used for tracking the Red Hat productized product.
But then why is Jira not private? Can you create a private Jira?
we can switch it if that's our decision. You can certainly do that.
Or we can
Because
have
you want
two-
to go, you want to have customers, logging issues, for example, for the product through Jira.
Well, if we decide that, we could say in the community, I think that's actually going to help us. So if we decide that, it's like, hey, we're not going to be taking issues anymore his instructions to open an issue with us, right? It'll be Jira. So, and then they have to, whatever, sign up and create a Jira. So it'll be Jira. But then we could have another Jira project just for the product, right? Can we do that? And then that one is completely private. All the issues there are not seen by anyone.
Yeah, that also makes sense. Yeah, if we
Yeah,
can create a private.
and then
project.
we keep them both on the board. We say, hey, SBO product, SBO project, right?
So this sounds like you mean like moving off of GitHub.
Yeah, man, it's like we've been struggling with keeping those two in sync, right?
Yeah.
And then we tend to gravitate towards Jira. It's just that's what we're tracking in our scrums, everywhere, right? So I guess inviting community to use our Jira is the wiser thing to do.
So what I would suggest is that if this is a possibility as a proposal, would someone like to take on the task to investigate, what would that look like? How does it work today? How have other teams do this? Have the other teams done this? Right? And what would it take for us to do something like this to transition from a GitHub to a Jira based project?
Yep. Let me take on that if you want, Jasper.
The only relevant thing I can think of here is that I thought I heard something about Jira GitHub crosstalk integrations. You post a comment on Jira, it gets posted on GitHub by a bot, and vice versa. I thought I saw something about that floating around internally. I don't remember exactly how mature and how stable it was, though. I'm not sure if that's something we want to do either, for the record.
So that's also good to investigate as well, right?
Yeah, because if I can help it, I'd like to keep GitHub issues around, just because it is we do have a presence on GitHub. Let's use it how our users are comfortable using it. But if this is the will of the team that we move to Jira, then okay, fine.
Well, as long as we have it, the user will just come into the project and say, hey, how do you, no issues, right? We cannot create issues, but in the instructions, it'll be, here's a link, create any issues here, right? And that's how our project is handled. And they'll be able to see all the issues. It's actually better, right? Because they'll be able to see all the issues. It's the whole point of what you started this conversation with, right? They'll be able to see all the issues that we have, everything we've been working on, the activities, right? That's good. It shows our project progress, right? As opposed to having two separate things. From the beginning, we should have stuck to one, I think. But Red Hat has a lot of tools with Jira, right? We don't have a lot of tools with GitHub. So that's the problem.
Okay. So in the interest of time, I know that we have a few other topics to continue to discuss, and maybe we can even push that back to next session. Actually, I'm going to ask Francesco, could you mind helping us with this investigation?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. That would be helpful, because I think it would be good to kind of understand where things sit in terms of existing systems today, and then we can make a decision as to how we want to move forward. Because there's a number of things that currently GitHub provides, like the web page and whatnots, right? So if that needs to move, where would it go, for example?
No, this is only about the issues that we are talking
Issues.
about.
Yeah, issues.
Only issues.
What we will do is we will leave the issues today, but we won't allow any new issues.
Oh,
right?
I see. Okay.
We won't allow any new issues to come in, and then we will point people to Jira.
Okay.
And then we'll give them a link to our Jira and all the issues there, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Francesco, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Just keep in mind that if you are requiring community users to add to our Jira, you would also require them to create an account there. Right?
Yes.
Which might, like a Red Hat one, which might
that's
be
pretty easy.
controversial.
Yeah,
it is
there are
easy,
social
but it might be
signing.
controversial. You know.
It may be we may run into some users who may not be wanting to do so. External to Red Hat. I mean, of course, Red Hat internal employees don't care about that, but
I mean,
Let's see.
yeah, is Jira Red Hat specific in this case? Is like a Red Hat URL?
yes, issues.redhat.com.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's investigate and see where it goes. Okay. Right. Perfect.
Mindful of time.
Any last minute items before we drop? I think the rest of it we'll need to kind of follow up in a future call. So
Okay.
okay. All right. If not, then thank you so much. Have yourself a good rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.